Years, Kevin Jackson is back with us, civil rights attorney Dwight Pettit, and Fox News senior correspondent Geraldo Rivera. You said something last week that really grabbed my attention. You said, yeah, Black Lives Matter only when
they are killed by cops. It is infuriating to me. I heard Elijah Cummings, the congressman who represents the West Baltimore area, say to me and to the crowd during the protest, as he was nobly trying to calm things down, he said the police violence against young black men is the civil rights issue of our day. It is not the civil rights issue of our day. The civil rights issue of our day is black people killing black people. And it is infuriating to me how everybody is dancing around the real issue. For example, in Baltimore, 109 homicides this year, 99 of them black on black. 12 homicides this week, 11 of them black on black. In New York City, 9 killed, all of it black on black. This has to stop. This is the civil rights issue of our day, Sean. Black people killing black people.
Let me put this to the test here. Dwight, let me ask you. 12 people killed in Chicago this weekend, 9 in Baltimore, 9 in New York, as Geraldo mentioned. Can you name any of them? The names of any of those people killed?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
Not off the top of the head. Kevin, can you name any of them?
No, I can't name any of them. There's too many
Geraldo,
to try to name, Sean.
No, I mean, the president has spoken out in all these high-profile cases, Cambridge Police, Trayvon, Michael Brown, all cases he rushed to judgment. We know those names. Why don't we know the names of the many, the thousands, versus the 100 and however a year black Americans killed by cops? Why do we only hear those names? Geraldo raises a provocative and important question. Kevin?
Oh, I'd be happy to tell you. The civil rights issue of our day is liberals and Democrats corralling black people in the cities, taking away opportunity, not building any types of opportunity for them in the way of jobs, in the way of anything that would be positive for the community. Sean, the connective tissue is all of these cities are overwhelmingly black. They are overwhelmingly wrought with crime. You mentioned Baltimore. Before these statistics today, they were at 370% the national average of violent crime. And the left wants to make you believe that that's a cop problem. The problem is liberalism. The problem is these, and by the way, it's all Democrats, and it's mostly black Democrats that are allowing this to happen. So to make this something about civil rights is ridiculous. It's
all right, let me get a reaction from Dwight on this. Dwight, respond to that.
Well, I think I heard inconsistent statements. I thought he said it was a civil rights problem in terms of the conditions that have been allowed to swell in the black communities or the urban communities. This is not some problem that just was created overnight. This in terms of jobs and exporting jobs out of the community, putting dope into the community, guns into the community, shutting down schools, deplorable schools. This is something that's
Dwight, Kevin made a point, though, that these cities for decades, including Baltimore, have been run by liberal Democrats for all these years. They haven't solved the problem.
I didn't contradict that.
The president
Democrats or Republicans, the conditions have been allowed to continue and have been exacerbated.
But why doesn't the president talk about this?
And they knew that these potential situations were coming.
12 people this weekend were killed in his home city of Chicago. Why doesn't the president talk about that?
The situation is deplorable. The president should be talking about it, but he doesn't have any immediate fixes because there are no immediate fixes to the social ills that are engulfing our cities, and he knows that. This is legislation. It takes time to do this.
The president should be leading the way. He races into these high-profile cases. Mr. Constitutional Attorney, without evidence half the time, he ends up being wrong. He doesn't utter a word about the kids that are dying every day.
It is easy politically for someone to say, look at us, woe is us, we are being victimized, in this case, by officers, usually white officers. That's easy because that fits a historic narrative. What is much more difficult to deal with is the reality. What is the reality? And I think the last speaker hit on the social issues that are correct. But what he leaves out is now these cities are run by a network, a hidden network of gangs that are in business, doing the thriving business of drug dealing. These murders are largely turf battles over drug dealing.
If they really matter, and the president is so critical of the police, we're talking about 100, 120 incidents a year, Why not talk about the thousands also?
Urban America is committing a kind of suicide. This should be the president's priority. I'm not talking rhetorically here. I'm not making
No,
a
these are
flourishing
kids
point.
dying.
I am talking what is the reality in Chicago, in Trenton,
Sean.
in Newark, in New Orleans, in Detroit, in Baltimore. Come on, stop now with the
Sean.
talking around. What the real issue is, there is a crisis in urban America, and the president has to deal with it.
Kevin,
I think
last
it's
word.
more of a threat than ISIS.
Kevin? Wow.
Yeah,
Kevin,
the
last word.
crisis in urban America. The crisis in urban America is that the president's never going to come in to talk about the 56% graduation rate in Cleveland or the 60% graduation rate in Baltimore, where kids really need the help. He's not going to come in to help. He's only going to come in to talk about the issues that fit the narrative of the left and promote this
Sad.
liberalism
And
that's
if he doesn't-
crushing
but we
Black
don't deal
America.
with it. What happens? More young kids die because it's being ignored.
Bring back stop and frisk.
I
Now.
agree with you. I agree with that. All right.
Look,
We
that
gotta
part
run.
I agree with you, Sean.
Go
They
ahead.
both should be elevated to the same level at the same time. You cannot separate police brutality and black-on-black murders, but they both have causation and roots
But
which
the
I've
president
already
only talks about
discussed. But I
one.
think
He doesn't talk about the other,
Yeah,
and then the other
liberalism.
thousands are dying. Not 100, 150.
Well, I agreed with you. Both should be raised at the same level. The
All right.
difference between the two, at least the criminal element we're attempting to prosecute, where historically the police element we have not prosecuted. That's the major distinction that is called before the
I don't think
uproar.
we're prosecuting nearly anywhere near the crimes that are being committed, but we got to run. Coming up next tonight here on Hannity.